Thank you for tuning in to A Beautiful You, brought to you by Fidelity Local 6, featuring Benton's Beauty Academy, offering affordable cosmetology training at its best with instructor Miss Lynette Johnson and hands-on techniques by cosmetology students demonstrating manicures, hair color correction, and eyelash refilling, just to name a few. The Academy welcomes all patrons of beauty. These services are available to you at very reasonable prices.
Greetings, I'm Andrew Gentry.
And I'm Misty Wright.
We are the owners of Benton Beauty Academy in Benton, Arkansas. Since opening our doors in April of 2012, our purpose has been to educate students in the profession of cosmetology, as well as instructor training, aesthetics, and nail technician. We hope this feature will intrigue you, especially if you've ever considered cosmetology. Join us now with instructor Lynette Johnson, teaching cosmetology theory, and the students of Benton Beauty Academy demonstrating these techniques hands-on. Please join us.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good.
Good. So,
How are you, Miss
I'm
Lynette?
awesome day. We're going to review today over chapter 27 that we went over yesterday, nail tips and wraps. So, for a quick review, what are the supplies in additional to our basic manicure table that we need to apply nail tips? And I'm going to give you a little clue. So, what do we have? We have a
Nail file.
Yes, nail file. We're going to need a nail file. We're going to need a buffer. And we're going to need activator. Yes, these are accelerator or activator. And the main prize, what are we going to need?
Nail tips.
Nail tips.
Glue.
As well as what are we going to put the tips on with? Adhesive glue. And what are we not going to use, but what are we going to use?
We're not going to use nippers.
Set lighter?
Not going to use nippers, but you're going to use tip cutters.
We're not using nippers. We're not using foot clippers. We're not using nail clippers. We're going to use a tip cutter. Why do we not use a nail clipper or toe clipper? So it doesn't break the nail and it doesn't split. So regardless of what you see or hear, you always want to use a tip cutter when you're cutting your nail tips. And that gives it a nice even cut across. You don't get the little splits and the breaks in it, okay? And as well, the nail clippers and the toe clippers, it makes the nail really, really weak. So we want to keep that in mind. So once we apply the nail tips and we got them cut, what are we going to need? Actually, before we apply these nails, we're going to need a little something before that. Dehydrator. Now, what's the dehydrator before we put the nails? What's the purpose of that?
So it bonds.
So it bonds and also
Takes the moisture.
take the moisture and the oil off the nail. So you want to make sure that oil is off the nail so that it doesn't lift and it'll apply better, it'll stay better. So what do we have here? These are wraps. These are fiberglass wraps that when you finish your application, you'll put this on top to finish your workup, okay? So what are the types of nail tips applied and why is it important to properly fit them to your client? So first, let's start with the first type of nail. This one is called a what? This one is, it's just a clear, that's right, it's well-less. This one is well-less. Then we have a webless, partial well,
And a full well.
and a full well. So those are our types of tips that we're going to use. Tips that don't cover sidewall to sidewall. What's the danger in that? If they're not sidewall to sidewall?
They'll come up.
Yes, they'll lift. That's right, it'll lift. So we want to make sure when you're putting your tips on that they're sidewall to sidewall, and we want to make sure that they doesn't lift and split on us. What types of fabrics are used in a nail wrap? We have three types. One is linen. Another one is silk, fiberglass, paper. Okay, that's good.
Did you say linen?
We did. There's three types that we're taking in consideration right now, which is silk, linen, fiberglass, but there's also a paper that, you know, that's not one we really use a lot. But those are the three, okay? What are the benefits of using each type of these fabrics? Our silk becomes transparent when resin is applied. It's lightweight and has a smooth appearance. Linen is heavier and thicker, and therefore is the strongest wrap that we have. So remember, which one is the strongest?
Linen.
Linen, so that's going to be our preference wrap, okay? Then we have the fiberglass. It's easy to use and easy for the adhesive to penetrate it. Now this is a fiberglass that we have right here, which improves the adhesion and it becomes durable, and the resin activator likes that. So you might want to just pass that around, because we'll be using the fiberglass and the linen, more of the fiberglass than the linen. So describe to me the process that we use when we are applying a nail. You're going to do a stop, rock, and hold it. And when we say stop, what do we mean by stop?
Pause. When you put the nail tip to the...
When you put the nail tip on the free edge?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And then you're going to hold it at a what angle?
45.
45-degree angle. Once you hold it at the 45-degree angle, you're going to rock it on to the tip very slowly. So stop it at a 45-degree angle at the free edge of your nail. Then you're going to rock it on very slowly. And then you're going to hold it for 5 to 10 seconds to make sure the bond is strong and it's hardened, okay? We're going to describe the nail tip applicating procedure. The first thing we want to do when we're applying the nail. I got a client just walked in the door. She's got nail polish on. She's got the whole bit, okay? That's your scenario. So the first thing we're going to do after we talk to her, introduce yourself, greet her, what are we going to do?
Go wash your hands together.
Go wash your hands together. Second thing we're going to do when we come back.
Oh, take the polish off?
That's right. We're going to clean and remove the polish.
Right.
How do we remove polish? Do we scrub it off?
No.
Hold and let it
Hold.
soak
10
10
seconds.
And then slide. And slide it back and forth.
Y'all are awesome this morning. Okay, so when we get ready to remove the polish, a lot of times we see this going on. That's not the way you remove polish. So you put your acetone. Ooh, look at that. Acetone on. You're going to hold it for a few seconds, okay? 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And you just slightly twist it, and it comes straight off. Or you can just take it and pull it straight down, and it should come off. But if you twist it, you won't have to go back and get it again. And that's on your nail polish, on your fingers, as well as your toes, okay? So the next time I see somebody doing that, I'm going to call you on it. So everybody know how to remove nail polish, right? So I don't want to see any scrubbing going on the nail polish. Make sure we do it correct. Then what's the next thing we're going to do? We're going to do something with our wood stick.
And clean around the edge to make sure you get all the nail polish and stuff out.
And plus we're going to push back the
And that cuticle.
epinicium. You're going to push back the epinicium with your wood stick, and you're going to cover it with a
Cotton.
piece of cotton. And why do we cover that with the cotton? Protection, that's right. It's wood, remember? So we don't want to get splinters in someone's cuticle or their epinicium or anything. What about the curate? Can we use the curate here? You can, but you want to be careful with that, okay? Especially if they're older. You want to be careful not to push too hard because it could tear their skin or something like that. It's very delicate. But you can use a wooden stick or a curate, but preference is a wooden stick with a piece of cotton to get all that off. Once we get that pushed back, we want to do what? Remove what? The cuticle tissue. Yes, we're going to remove the cuticle tissue. So how do we remove the cuticle tissue?
Using a wooden stick.
Mm-hmm.
Circular motion.
Yes, say wait. Going to use that and carefully in a circular motion get all of that out. If you see something sticking up, you might want to get your nippers and pull it off. But you're not pulling off any live skin, no live skin, only the dead skin that's left on the nail from the cuticle, okay? That's all we're taking off. Then we want to buff the nail. Why are we buffing the nail?
Sure, to create a surface to remove the shine. Yeah.
Remove the shine, as well as what?
It's not abrasive, but it gives it,
A tacky,
yeah, so that way, that when you put the glue and stuff on it,
it holds
adheres
better. And it's also taking the oil out. It's taking that shine out, taking the oil out, and it's giving you a surface when you put that glue on that it's gonna be a little bit more tacky. How about applying the dehydrator? What's the use of, that's our next step. When we apply the dehydrator, you wanna use a cotton tip wooden pusher or spray dehydrator, and you wanna cleanse the nail before you do that. So why are we putting that dehydrator on? It's something after we put that buffer on it, then we go back and we put the dehydrator on. What's the reason for it?
Well, don't we clean the nails right before it
Mhm,
to remove the debris, so you
Yes.
have water and oil back on the nails?
That's right. So after we buff our nails, you're gonna go and you're gonna brush them off, right? That's to get all of the nail sandy stuff off of the nail. So you're gonna make sure you get all of that brushed off. And when we're doing that, you want to be careful not to. It's a good chance we're gonna touch the nail with your finger. So when we touch the nail with the finger, what is it gonna deposit on there? Oil. So we're gonna take our dehydrator after we get all that off, and we're gonna go over it, over the nail plate with the dehydrator. That's gonna help soak up that oil and get your nail ready for your tips. It'll also make sure the glue is a better adhesive there. The next thing we're gonna do is size the tips. Why do we wanna size the tips before we get to the tips? What's a good reason for that? Step number 6, we're gonna size the tips. Why do we wanna size the tips before we get actually into the... Yeah, so you're not guessing, and so you're not fumbling with your tips, trying to find, you want to make it a smooth transition. So you want to go ahead and size, make sure you find the right tip, completely cover the nail plate from sidewall to sidewall. Then you want to place the tips in order of the finger that you're going to put them on in front of them on a towel or something. So that way when you're ready to make that adhesion application, all you're doing is going to pick it up, stop it, rock it, and roll it, and there it is, okay? So then we're going to apply the adhesive. Placed on the nail plate to cover the area with the tip will be placed. Do not let it run on the skin. Apply from the middle of the tip to the free edge. If using a thin brush-on adhesive, cover the entire nail. Then press the tip onto it. So when they said press the tip onto it, are we just going to press it onto it? What are we going to do?
Rocking motion.
We're going to do a rocking motion. So we're going to stop it at a what?
45 degrees.
Then we're going to do what?
Rock.
And then we're going to do what?
Hold.
Hold it. So we're going to stop, rock, and hold. Stop, rock, and hold. Stop, rock, and hold. Okay? So stop it at a 45-degree angle. Rock it on very slowly. And we're going to hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
I know we all can do it now. So then it's time to trim the tip. What are we going to trim the tip with?
Tip trimmer.
Our trusty tip cutter. You're going to, confer with your client, see what length we need, and we're going to make sure all of them are cut at the same length all across the board, okay? You want to be careful with this. Don't just be real careful with your tip cutter, okay, when you're cutting those. The finishing step, we want to blend. You want to use a medium, fine grit, file or buffer, 180 degrees or higher. That's what we're using to buff, as well as your buffer. We know how to buff, right? Everybody know how to buff? Everybody know how to hold their buffer? Yeah, you're going to hold your buffer like this, not like this.
No.
That's the way I've seen the buffers held the wrong way. So just for those that you hold your buffer like that, okay? And it's a rounding off type thing. I'm going to put it down here because Holly probably needs to see this. Those are the buffers that you're using, Holly. Never hold the file at an angle. It should always be what?
45.
Nope, we're never holding the file at an angle. We're talking about the file when we get ready to blend and file. We're going to hold it flat. Always hold it flat, okay? If we hold it at an angle, it could damage the nail that we just put on. So we don't want to damage the nail. Hold your file flat when you're filing it. It removes the shine from the remainder of the tips. Then it's time to shape the nail using an abrasive to shape the new long nail. Now, remind you guys, when you're putting on tips, they don't always have to be long. Some people could put on tips because they don't have any type of nail and they want something. So make sure you talk to your client about the length that you're putting on. Don't just assume that they're needing a long nail, okay? So that we're not going to do. Then you're going to proceed with your wrap service once you get your nail tip on. Before we go to our wrap service, how do we remove the nail tip? You're going to soak it in what? In a small glass thing of acetone. And once it gets soft enough, you're going to use a wooden pusher. Always wrap the wooden pusher with a little piece of cotton, and you're going to just pry it off very gently. Right. And it should come off without damaging that nail. Once you get it off, you're going to buff the nail. You're going to buff it and get your plate ready to reapply it, okay? To perform your next service. So just remember, when your client come in and they have those tips on, you have to soak them first in acetone to get everything so it's soft enough to just kind of push it off. If it doesn't push off a little bit easy with a little bit of tug on it, then it's not ready. Soak it a little while longer. Don't force it off. If you force it off, you're going to damage the nail. Right. Never force, okay? So the nail wrap, we've removed the polish, we've pushed back the epinicium, removed the oily shine, applied nail dehydrator, we've applied the tip. Now we have here, where's our fabric? Our fabric is pre-cut here, but a lot of times it's not pre-cut. So if it's not pre-cut, you don't have pre-cut fabric, you want to cut that fabric yourself, making sure you keep the fabric. How far away from your 1/16 of an inch? Away from the your side walls, okay? So we're going to cut the fabric, or you're going to use pre-cut fabric, keeping it 1/16 of an inch from the side wall. Apply a layer of wrap resin around it. So you apply the layer over the entire surface of the nail and tip. Keep the adhesives off the skin, which can damage the skin and cause the wrap to lift or separate. So you understand why we're keeping it off the skin. So those are very important things, because you don't want your customer coming back with a complaint. So when you do something, put your best on it. Be your very best at what you do. So you already know, I can't get it to touch the skin. If I do, my customer's coming back, she's going to be dissatisfied. Keep that 1/16 of an inch away from the skin. Begin with the pinky on the left and apply the wrap within those 10 fingers. So you always start with your pinky on the left, okay? After you apply the fabric, remove the backing, which is, these are pre-cut. So you're going to remove it from the backing and gently fit the fabric over the nail plate, 1/16 of an inch away from the side wall and the epinicium. Press to smooth it on to the nail plate using a small piece of thick plastic. So make sure when you sit down you have a piece of plastic that you can wrap around your index finger so you can kind of smooth that fabric onto the nail once you get it on there, okay? So don't forget, we're going to need that. Then you're going to trim the fabric. Use small scissors to trim fabric 1/16 of an inch away from the side walls and free edge to prevent fabric from lifting and separating from the nail plate. Then we're going to apply the wrap resin. Draw a thin coat of wrap resin down the center of the nail using the extender tip. Thin coat down the center, using the tip up. This is a spray on though, okay? But you do have the tips. Do not touch the skin. The adhesive will penetrate the fabric and adhere to the nail surface. Use the plastic again to make sure the resin is evenly distributed without bubbles or areas of bare fabric. Then we're trimming the fabric. We're going to use small scissors to trim the fabric 1/16 of an inch away from the sidewalls and the free edge to prevent fabric from lifting and separating from the nail plate. Then we're going to apply the wrap resin. You're going to draw a thin coat of wrap resin down the center of the nail using the extended tip. Do not touch the skin. The adhesive will penetrate the fabric and adhere to the nail surface. Use the plastic again to make sure the resin is evenly distributed without bubble or areas of bare fabric, okay? So you want to make sure you do that.
That word was on my test.
Yes.
So that's what it showed.
So then we're going, our next step, you're going to apply the resin accelerator. You're going to spray or brush it on. A drop of the resin accelerates for the wrap resin of your choice. Use according to the wrap resin manufacturer instruction. Like I tell y'all with everything, anytime you're using a product and you're not familiar with it, always do what?
Read the manufacturer's instructions.
That's right. Always read the manufacturer's instruction because it could be different for something else you've used. Keep wrap resin accelerator off skin to prevent overexposure to the product. Then we're going to apply the second coat of wrap resin the same way we applied the first coat. And then we're going to apply a second coat of wrap resin accelerator. So everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty simple process, a repetition of what you're doing, but repetition makes you very good at what you do as well. So if this is something you plan to incorporate in your business, you know, just get one of those little trial kits from somewhere and just get good with what you do, okay? Shape and refine the nail is your next step using a medium grid, 240 grid to shape and refine the nail wrap. Buff the nail wrap. You want to apply nail oil and buff the nail to a high shine with your fine 350 grid or higher buffer. With your buffer, not your file, but your buffer, okay? Use the buffer to smooth out rough edges around the fabric. Do not buff excessively or too long to wear through or weaken the wrap. So do y'all know what they mean when they say that? You're going to have to really pay attention when you're buffing because you can buff through it, and then you have to start all over because you're going to have a little hole in there and it's going to be uneven. So you want to pay a lot of attention when you're buffing that wrap on there, okay? Same as when you put the adhesives on the tip. You want to pay a lot of attention to that. You don't want to buff too much because you don't want to get it too thin that it goes through. But you want to make it smooth, okay? Then after we're done with that, just like a manicure, we're going to massage the arms and the hands with lotion and massage oil, doing our efferage, petrissage, tapotement, and friction. So we're going to use those as well. We're going to remove all traces of oil from our nails. And then what are we going to do? After we remove all traces of oil, we're going to wash our hands, move all traces. Our last step is to do what? The big finish. Polish. Polish the nails and make sure they're dry before you send them on. Okay? Mm-hmm. Sounds good? Mm-hmm. We already went over how to remove the tips once we get them on. Same process to removal, okay? We have maintenance. How often?
Every 2 weeks.
2 weeks to
4 weeks.
4 weeks. I think that's probably going to depend on your client, you know, what their grow out is and what their line of work is, how often that they're going to have to come back. But you want to give them instructions for 2 to 4 weeks maintenance. So when they come back in, you will remove the existing polish, that they have on, clean the natural nail plate, push back the epinicium, lightly buff the nail plate to remove shiny any of the oil, okay? Apply the nail dehydrator. And we're only applying the nail dehydrator where?
On the nail.
On the nail. They grow out at the bottom. We're not doing the whole thing over. Remember, it's a maintenance. So you still have the nail tip on there, you still have the resin on there, but now you're dealing with the grow out, the bottom, where the nail plate is.
So you on the 2 week, the first one you only use the resin,
Mhm.
and then the next one you do the patch, like you patch the back end.
Depending on how bad it is.
Okay.
Depending on, so you have to make that call. So you want to wrap the resin to the new nail. More than likely, you're going to have to use it because they're going to come in probably when it's growing out about. Yeah. So you're more than likely you're going to be using your resin. Brush on or apply a small amount of wrap resin to the area of new growth of the nail. Spread the resin with the extended tip, taking care to avoid touching the what?
Skin.
Because it could damage the skin. So we want to make sure we don't do that. Then you're going to apply the resin accelerator, wrap resin accelerator, following the manufacturer's what? Instruction. Then you're going to apply the wrap to the entire nail plate. You're going to apply a second coat of the wrap resin to the entire plate to strengthen and reseal the nail wrap. Shape and refine the wrap when you're done with that using, of course, your file and your buffer. File, then buff. Apply the hand lotion and your massage technique. Remove traces of oil, polish, and let them go. Now that's the same technique you're going to use on your 2-week maintenance as well as your 3-week maintenance. Okay? Any questions so far?
No.
Pretty cut and dry, right? Now all we got to do is practice what we preach. Right? Right. So we'll make sure we do that. So we are going to pull some nails out and stop, rock it, and hold it. Okay? So let's everybody get ready, put on a couple of tips, okay? So does everybody have a buffer, a nail file, a tip nipper, a tip cutter? You have your orange wood sticks. You have your nail tips, dehydrator, accelerator. What we don't have, we're gonna pass it around, okay? So here we go. First thing you're gonna do, anybody that has on nail polish, let's take it off. Does anybody have on nail polish? All right, take the nail polish off. Those of you all that do not have nail polish on, we're going to use your cotton stick and we're going to clean the nail plate by pushing the echinicium back. So she got on nail polish?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was okay. Everybody that doesn't, take the nail polish off. Go ahead. And she don't have nail polish on. So you're going to move to step number 2, which is you're going to push the epinicium back with a wooden stick with a little cotton around it, pushing gently. You want to be real careful with that. Don't get real heavy-handed.
I was just.
Mm-hmm. When you get done with that step, we're going to remove the cuticle tissue. Use cuticle removers and a wooden stick or a metal pusher. You want to be careful if you're using the metal. Everybody got wooden pushers. Good. Cotton wrapped around it. You're going to remove the cuticle. Go ahead. You hadn't pushed the epinicium back yet? Mm-hmm. Push the epinicium back. Yep. You go ahead. You on it? Go ahead. You're good.
It's not coming out. It must be, and I'm not gonna press it because you know what's gonna happen.
Once you push the echinocchium back, you're going to move on to the cuticle remover. Apply your cuticle remover and use a wooden or a metal pusher. We're using the orange wood sticks. Carefully remove the cuticle tissue from the nail plate.
It definitely came out.
Hurry, remove the cuticle. Once you get your cuticle removed, you're going to buff the nail to remove the shine. Buff lightly over the nail plate to remove the natural oil and any contaminants. When you're done buffing, you're going to remove any dust that remains, okay? And we're going to wait on everybody till they get to that section. So far we've removed the polish, we've pushed back the echinocchium, we removed cuticle tissue, we buffed the nail to remove the shine. Buff the nail to remove the shine. Our next, we're going to apply the dehydrator. Apply the dehydrator after you remove the debris and everything from your nails. Apply the dehydrator. Once the dehydrator is applied, go ahead and size for tips. When you size your tips, make sure it covers the nail plate from sidewall to sidewall. Make sure it covers from sidewall to sidewall. Okay, good. Good. Make sure we're covering from sidewall to sidewall. Good job. That looks good. Once you have found your tips, you're going to apply the adhesive. You're going to place on the nail to cover the area where the tip will be placed. Be sure not to let it run onto the skin. Apply from the middle of the nail to the free edge. And then once you get it on, you're going to stop it at a 45-degree angle on the free edge, and you're going to rock it on and slide it on slowly. Hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. So once you get your nail tip size, you're going to apply the adhesive on the nail that you're going to start with, which is going to be your pinky finger. You apply the adhesive to cover the area of the nail that's going to be placed on your nail plate.
You put it on the nail plate or on?
No, you apply it on your adhesive. Okay. I mean your nail tip. Once you get it applied, you're going to use the stop, rock, and hold. You're going to stop it at the free edge. You're going to hold it at 45 degrees, rock it slowly on, sliding it back, hold for 5 to 10 seconds. 5 to 10 seconds. Once you get it on, good job. cut it at the desired length with your tip cutters. Good job. So we're going to finish this nail, and then I'll let you go ahead and finish the rest of them. So everybody got their tip on?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks good? Let's see. Good job. Next, we're going to finish the blend using a medium to fine grit file or buffing block. Carefully file your nail at the point of attachment, and making sure you don't file too hard. Kind of watch your filing so you don't file through it, but you want to make a smooth transition there. So you're going to file the contact area down to the flush with the natural nail. Remember not to hold your file at an angle. Keep it flat. Feels good? Feel it and see where it's at. How does it feel? Good job.
It's okay.
Right there. Take your file. Take your file. Shape it up for her. Or just kind of file the rough edges. You want to shape the nail. Once you get it buffed, shape your nail. Once you get your nails shaped, you're going to apply the fabric, making sure it's 1/16 of an inch away from the side walls, okay? Find your fabric.
When preparing the treatment, this black art should be arranged as close to the facial table, so it has nothing to do with being.
The hydrator.
And put that straight across the nail.
Just paint it on like you're painting nail polish, like that, and then you're going to put your wrap on top of that. Here. Where's your hydrator?
Okay, now we need the glue.
Okay. There you go. Make sure you put it on. There you go. Keeping it 1/16 of an inch away from the skin. Okay. Should be all right. Once you get it on there, you want to trim it.
Do you want to rub first?
Yeah, with your plastic.
We put the glue all over, or just?
With a piece of plastic to make sure you smooth it. Wrap a piece of plastic around your finger. Where's the plastic you pulled off of that? Use that. See if that'll work on your finger.
I need that still, one more time.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Because it goes on top.
Yeah, you can use that little piece of plastic right there.
I did.
Okay, you already got it there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did everybody trim their fabric? Everybody used their resin and pat it down with a piece of plastic to make it smooth, nice and smooth. Then you want to put a thin coat of wrap resin down the center of the nail.
Do you still press it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The adhesive will penetrate the fabric and adhere to the nail. I use the plastic again to pat it down and smooth it out. Once you do that, you're going to apply the wrap resin accelerator, which is the spray over here. Got it down. Once you get that, you're going to apply it again.
Do you trim it?
Yeah, you make sure you trim it. Yeah, down the center again, all over it, making sure you don't get it on the skin. Use your plastic again to pat it down and smooth it out. When you get done, go ahead and make sure you trim it off. Once, what do you need? And when you do it, make sure you are sealing the tips, okay?
Anybody have the activator?
You all know how to seal the tips, right? We all know how to seal the tips by running the resin across the free edge. Make sure you seal to prevent lifting of your fabric. Did you seal?
I did activator.
Activator. Go ahead and seal it with the resin. Once we seal it, put the accelerator coat on and the resin for the second time. We're going to shape and refine the nail, buffing it after that, okay? Go ahead and shape it if we need to shape it up.
Activator.
Activator?
Yeah. Well, because I sealed it. So
Okay,
make sure
yes,
that I get it
again,
on.
right. Go ahead and shape and buff.
Immediately.
You can wait a second or two, but it should be fine. Go ahead. You should be fine now. Go ahead and shape and buff. Okay, making sure you don't buff too much to go down to the nail. Just make sure it's a nice, smooth transition. Good job. Just a little bit. Just buff just a little bit more. Just slightly. Make sure you're rounded. Buff the other way, Dottie. Round it off. Yeah, there you go. At this point, once you shape and buff your nails, at this point, if you were doing a whole set, we would stop and we would do the hand and arm massaging. But for the purpose of today, we want to go ahead and remove all traces of oil that we may have transferred with our fingers. Remove any traces of oil with your dehydrator. We can also at this time send them and wash their hands. And then we're going to apply the nail polish.
Straight on.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just put? Do we need to just put some on there?
Yeah. You would just send them at this point and wash their hands and everything?
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
We don't need dehydrated again. We've already done it twice.
You can just, you can, yeah. And just make sure you just,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Yes. That's fine.
I'm gonna do the other ones better.
That looks great. Awesome. See that? That looks awesome. Good job. Yeah, go ahead. Awesome job, guys. Awesome. Good job. So we want to make sure we practice and get our skills up to par on this.
It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, really good job. Everybody did a great job. Looks good. Awesome job.
It's hard to cover the white on
Yeah,
the
but
sides.
yeah, because they usually serve as a French tip.
French tip.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay. It looks really good. That looks really good.
We can take that off and put your French tip back on.
Mm-hmm. Good job. Okay. Good job, Dodie. All right.
Go Dodie.
The thumb is the best.
It is.
This one.
Yeah, because
it is.
that fit all the way around it.
Really good job. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're doing now, we're going to do a highlighting. It's usually highlighting. I use special effects for people that want extra lighting in their hair. We're going to be using a lightener, which is basically a bleach, and we're going to be foiling just the halo section of the head. And we're going to be using foils, using very thin partings. Weave. No. Do you want to weave or do you want slicing?
Do you want it natural?
You want to look natural or you want to look dramatic?
Dramatic.
She want to be dramatic. So let's slice her. So we're going to do slicing versus weaving, which gives it just a little bit more dramatic effect. And we're going to be using like 1/8 inch of a thin slicing, which is very thin. So we're going to do that process, and we'll be back to check on it in a few minutes, okay? You want to always make sure you put gloves on when you're messing with any type of chemicals. Oh, it looks really good. Good job.
Almost there. She's bright back here.
Let's see. She light bright?
Bright.
Yeah, that looks good.
Can we go ahead?
So she's going to go ahead and pull her back foils and get that taken out, and then we'll wait for the rest to process. So let me hold this here, and let me let her kind of take a peek. She processed really fast too.
Okay,
It looks
so
really
let's do it
good.
Wednesday. How about that? Okay.
That looks good. You want to leave that one for a little while longer? Yeah. Oh, yeah, just a little bit. Looks really good. What color did you have on here? Did you do this yourself?
I haven't dyed my hair in a long time, but I don't remember.
You got like 3 different shades. You got your natural tone, and then you got a lighter tone and a medium tone at the end.
It looks like a candy cane.
Yeah, it does. Well, the top is going to look good.
If she didn't have the multiple tones going through it, it'd probably be
Yeah.
better.
But it's nice though.
Yeah.
It came out pretty nice. And we'll go through later and fix all of that. Fix you up, girl. But it came out nice.
Yeah, and it didn't break her ends. That's really good.
I haven't dyed my hair in so long. I lied. Oh my gosh. I did put an auburn in it about a couple months ago,
Okay, that's what we're seeing.
and it turned out horrible.
Yeah, we can see that on the ends there.
Yeah. Well, and you can kind of see it as it.
Oh, you see it right here too, yeah. Looks good.